And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is my counterpart, Joe DeLeone. Good evening, good sir.
Blake, we kind of have some breaking news right now. The NCAA has...
Hold on. Okay,
yeah.
This is what I was going to say for my opening monologue. You ready?
Go ahead.
I don't know what I'm more mad at. The fact that me and RG3 are going back and forth with one another about Jaden Daniels when, by the way, RG3 got blanked against Oklahoma State. 49-3, they put in their scrubs. Oklahoma State did, and then he finally scored a touchdown.
He still won the award.
You're about to say it. The
NCAA denied the postseason waiver for Jacksonville State and JMU, which is bullshit. Which is complete bullshit.
What is their logic? I don't understand the logic. Like, please, can you tell me what is the counter argument to James Madison and Jacksonville State not being allowed to go to a bowl game?
Because they are an organization with fleeting power, and they want any opportunity to flex said power, to be able to make a statement that they're not going to be swayed despite any circumstance. That's what I think.
Let me tell you what it sounds like to me, because you and I both played in the FCS. The NCAA puts on the FCS playoffs, which people do not realize, which then takes money out of their pocket when those schools go into the FBS, and then bowl games are taken away, right? So it seems as if that they are able to make the ruling when Joe, it's like if me and you were in business, okay, you went to another company, but for you to get your quarterly bonuses every year, I was over that, right? Like, how stupid is that?
It's terrible. And for the ratings boosts that specifically JMU, Jacksonville State's audience isn't that big. Their fan base isn't that big. But JMU is a huge fan base.
It can be. You mean to tell me if Florida and Jacksonville has close to, I think, maybe 800,000, 1 million people that live there.
It's in Alabama.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that for the longest time.
I thought it was literally in Jacksonville. See, I didn't even know. You mean
in Alabama?
Okay, well, that's even better. You mean to tell me that? Never mind. Bama fans are mad at us already. I'm not going to say it. Okay, but you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah. No, it's horrible. It's very, very terrible.
Where's James Madison, by the way?
It is in Harrisonburg, Virginia. One of the nicest campuses I have ever been on. One of the best stadiums I've played in.
I feel like if you date a girl that goes to James Madison, like her daddy has a yacht.
Nah, I think Elon's more of that description. But yes, it does kind of produce a little bit of that,
hoity-toity
preppiness. You know who went there? You're not a big Barstool guy, but PFT commenter was a JMU guy.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh,
which one is that?
Pardon my take. He's the guy with the long hair.
Oh, yeah, the sunglasses guy.
Yeah, the guy who wears.
Yeah, I don't watch Barstool. Yeah, I mean,
But
people tell me I should go to Barstool because of the way I yell, and I'm like, look, dude,
Brandon Walker's there.
Well, there will be a fight, okay? Just don't. But he came,
But by the way, did you see
somebody when Brandon Walker's serious? When he's serious about things, he's not bad.
Yeah, he's a good host. But did you see though somebody on the Alabama video commented that they sense tension between us? I almost sent that to you. I almost commented on it, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna kind of let them think what they want. Yeah. Somebody said that I sense tension between you guys and they're being serious was the way that they phrased it. Clearly they don't listen to the show regularly. Clearly they don't understand.
By the way, today an Alabama fan told me I'm an LSU fuckboy. And I was like, well, okay, fair. And he said, why don't y'all just move on? Why are y'all still talking about Alabama and LSU? I'm like, so I responded to the comment. I was like, bro, this video is 2 weeks old. Can you read? Oh, wait, you're a Bama fan. Like, come on, dude. Come on. We do have a lot to talk about. Joe, in November, I'm always refreshing my phone because I feel like we always have breaking news in the month of November and December. But yesterday it was reported that Chip Kelly might be out at UCLA. We'll talk about that, but what were your initial thoughts?
Talking about Chip Kelly, I think that it's unexpected, and I'm going to really dive in on this when we talk about it at the top of the show. I just think that it's a little rushed. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors that we're not really privy to. But I think that as we saw the turnaround last year where they were really competitive, and to then go and get a 5-star recruit that is as talented as Dante Moore, for him going into his second season, that team could really take off. But I don't know. I guess they want different direction going into the Big Ten.
I think that Chip Kelly, ever since he left Oregon, has been one of the worst coaches in all of football.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I think the results that he produced
he doesn't have
last
a 10
year.
Wins. He didn't get a 10. Doesn't have a 10-win season.
Okay, here's a big, I think, misconception with UCLA, though. I don't think that they're really a consistently winning program. Yes, that they have had decades where they were strong, but I think it's hard to win there. I think that even more than Notre Dame, there's significant academic restrictions because it's a pretty highly sought after academic school, and that's hard to work around. That's really hard to work around, and they do not have a passionate fan base. The alumni are not a group of people that are really engrossed with the athletics that you would like at other schools. It's not like USC. I just think it's a hard place to win. And I think for the results in 4 years for him to be as good as they were last year, I think it's a positive step forward. I think
since 18.
I know
he's
that
33 and 33. He's 25 and 25 in conference. Joe, I'm just gonna be honest.
Not easy to win there, though.
But if you've had 6 years and you're 500, that's not acceptable anywhere. Like that. If you are trying to become something greater, okay, like even if you're just trying to become Notre Dame, okay, at least Notre Dame recruits well. At least they are very competitive. I mean, Joe, the truth is you could make the argument, hey, man, you're a play away from beating what could be a national champion. UCLA's not there. They're not there. So, I mean, I can't believe that I have to stick up for Notre Dame. You should be the one making that point.
My main thing is that for what they're dealing with right now at the quarterback position, it just feels like a down season, not one that constitutes getting fired.
Chip's not a likable guy.
That's the issue. It sounds like he does not get along with any donors or alumni.
When you start losing the boosters, you lost your job.
Right.
And look, I said this on the show last, I think it was Sunday, when the Sam Pittman thing came up in the chat. And Sam Pittman's not an a-hole. So because Sam Pittman's not an a-hole, he literally could save his job and he could get another year off of that.
Well, the other part of this too, I mean, we just saw a guy get fired, Jimbo Fisher. Is an a-hole. We know he's an a-hole. He's publicly an a-hole. I've heard in behind closed doors, he's a very nice person.
Great to his players.
Yes.
Fantastic to his players.
But dealing with the media, dealing with the boosters that I'm sure were up his ass, I'm sure he was a bit of a dick, and that's why he got pushed out so soon. And I don't think that Chip is necessarily an asshole like we're trying to sit here and say, and that's what we're kind of implying. But it sounds like he's not very social. Like I want to go and draw up on the whiteboard and keep drawing up plays and ways for us to pick up yards. And they're not very good offensively this year, so it's rubbed off.
Yeah, what's crazy is, man, they're really good defensively. They're the number one team in the country in rush defense. So, and we hadn't talked about a lot of UCLA this year. We hadn't really had the opportunity to because they hadn't been in really marquee games.
No.
Not a lot of people have seen them. But they have. What's crazy is when he was at Oregon, his teams were finesse, and now they're really physical. Not all we'll talk about. UNC and Clemson face off this weekend. Joe, I'm taking the Tigers on this one. I'm taking the Tigers. Well, I'll tell you why.
Bad pick.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna wait. Miami and Louisville. Tyler Van Dyke gets the start. Tyler Van Dyke had some comments that he said that football's not his passion. I think Louisville by 14.
He's going to be really good at JP Morgan. He's going to do a really good job at JP Morgan, and I'm sure he'll be fine.
Hey, man, if you can help me with my stocks and bonds, Utah and Arizona. I think my new favorite team, not LSU, is this Arizona team. I love Jeff Fish. So we'll talk Utah, Arizona. I think I'm more tired of talking about Utah and getting roasted by their fans every week. But nevertheless, we'll talk about it. Not a massive week when it comes to comes to college football and big games. But we do have some good ones. And then at the end, we'll give you our picks. So we got a lot to get into. So, Joe, let's waste no time. We got a lot to discuss. Let's talk about it now and talk about our friends over at betonline.ag. Don't go anywhere. Dude, this is what we do, man. It's going to be fun. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. Listen, I'm making an exception to the picks this week on you can get one game. All right. I'm going to take Texas to win, but if I'm a betting man, I'm taking Iowa to cover. Iowa State to cover. Game's going to be.
I like that. I don't know what the line is off the top of my head, but I like that.
6.5.
I like that. I would definitely take that.
I'm taking that line. I don't think Iowa State can beat them now that I just look at it. But, man, Texas not having their lead back, I think it's going to be a big deal.
For sure.
For them. Chip Kelly, well, I don't even know how to start this segment off, Joe. It's rumored, I guess, or sourced that it's likely that Chip Kelly will be fired at the end of the year or sometime maybe after this week. Who knows when he'll be fired? They play USC this week. I'm taking the Trojans, I might add, because of all the chaos that is surrounding that. Look, I think Chip Kelly is a football guy, right? He just wants to sit at a bar, drink some whiskey, draw up plays, and be left alone. That is Chip Kelly. He doesn't like to recruit. He doesn't really like to do all those things. He did get Dante Moore, and I'll give him that. So he did recruit a little bit there. I think NIL played a pretty big role into that. Nevertheless, he did get a really good quarterback, but we see how their season has gone offensively. Joe, you mentioned something in the open in reference to it's tough to win there, and I don't disagree. They won 9 games a year ago. They went 9-4. The year before that, I think they went 8-4. This year, they sit at 6-4. But here's the thing with me and Chip Kelly. He is 33-33 at UCLA, 25-25 in the Pac-12. They are going to the Big Ten. Everybody's like, oh, I think it's too soon. I keep hearing everybody talk about, oh, it's too soon. Why did they pull the plug? That is because nobody's watching UCLA on the regular. And let me tell you why I think this is. You just look at Chip Kelly and think, all right, well, they got 9 wins. They got 8 wins. They are who they are. I don't buy into that. If you're an institution like UCLA, like USC, whoever you may be, a more prominent Power 5 school, Joe, you can't be 500 in 6 years. You have to inspire to be more. You have to inspire to be better. Being 25-25 through 50 games in the Pac-12, and Joe, he might lose to USC this week and have a losing record. Okay,
probably will.
I just don't think that if you're trying to get to where you want to go, if you're UCLA, that's not acceptable. Now, I don't know who they go and get. I don't know if there's another coach that they can go and get that will be better than him. But one of the LA schools, if I'm UCLA, okay, well, I know that you have some academic standards. Did that stop Pete Carroll? Did that stop Ed Orgeron?
USC is not on the same and I know USC fans are probably going to get up my ass on that, but USC's are not on the same academic plane as
it's
UCLA.
not as
They're
big
not.
as like a Notre Dame, though. It's not bigger than a Duke. It's not bigger than
UCLA is if we're just talking academically, UCLA is in that higher echelon category as Duke and Notre Dame.
You don't have to have standardized testing to get into UCLA, because I knew that this argument was going to come up. SAT, ACT, you don't need to get it in there. You have to have a grade point average. You have to take some kind of cognitive test, whatever. Joe, they're getting in dudes that they had no business getting in there. Is my only point to that. They can get dudes in there if they need to. He's not recruiting at a high enough level, and he's not winning at a high enough level. So you can say, oh, my God, why is he getting fired? I do get that. I do see that argument because I like Chip. I think Chip is, like I said earlier, is a football guy. I don't think that matters. If you want to be better than 500, you got to make a move. He's had 6 years to do it, Joe.
Okay, but here, again, I think we both agree, brilliant coach. Schematically is just one of the brightest minds in football. He has revolutionized the game that we see today. He set a lot of things in motion offensively in the NFL and in college football.
Yeah, him and Urban were pioneers.
My big thing why I think that this is a bit premature, and I said this in the open, I think that, one, it is difficult to win at UCLA consistently, and it is a program that requires multiple years of building to get in that right direction. Last year was the first year that we saw that they were in that position to succeed and in a position to be a good football program, but they didn't turn the page and find the right quarterback for them to continue building momentum. What we've seen this year is that defensively, they're even better than last year. If they had, maybe they went and got Graham Mertz. I think that their offensive situation would have been a million times better if they were able to coerce Graham Mertz into coming there and being their transfer quarterback. Instead, they went and got Colin Schley, who hasn't done anything. He's perfectly mediocre. They're running like triple option and stuff with him because they can't throw the damn football. What I'm getting at here is that I think that circumstantially, a program that we like to think historically was at one point one of the premier programs in the West in the Pac-12. But I look at them now and I see a team that has a stadium that nobody wants to go to because the traffic is too damn hard to get to Pasadena. I've thought about going to games. It's not that far from me, but I don't want to waste my goddamn night sitting in traffic for an hour and a half trying to get there. Nobody has any aspiration in Los Angeles to do that and to go watch these games. It's nowhere near the campus. The students don't want to go to the games. The alumni aren't that involved, and most of them don't even really live in Los Angeles. I just think that with those difficulties compared to other Power 5 programs that have expectations to be in that upper echelon, it's hard for them to win. For them to have 4 and 5 losses is not bad for UCLA standards. I think that if they get to 3 losses, that's the most that they're going to get to. That's their ceiling. There's no one you're going to go out there and hire that is going to produce better results than a 9-3 regular season. There's just not. You're not going to win the Big Ten as UCLA with the way that the current landscape is.
Who has tougher academic standards, Notre Dame or UCLA?
I think Notre Dame does, but I'm not talking about the academic standard.
Why did Brian Kelly get to a playoff? You have a better
because nationally that's a way bigger brand.
He has a better in-state recruiting base. He has a better in-city recruiting base. Joe, he could throw a rock off of his porch and hit a 5-star.
But most of those kids that are in Los Angeles and that go to Mater Dei and go to St. John Bosco, most of them are opting to go out of the state because one, they don't want to stay in Los Angeles.
That's a problem. Okay, you can't get on to Lincoln Riley for those same kind of things and not get on to Chip Kelly about it.
But wait. But my whole point here is that UCLA's not as big of a brand as I think we think that they are anymore. They're just not.
No, I'm not disagreeing with the size of the brand that they are. But academic standards, the inability to recruit. Joe, Clemson wasn't a prominent standard program until Dabo took it over. There have been universities, Utah was not until Urban took it over. And then, then Kyle Whittingham went in there, made it a winning culture, right? You cannot be 500 after 6 years and think that, he needed more time. Needed more time for what?
But that's less about what I'm trying to get at here. What I'm trying to get at is that those schools, Utah, Clemson, have had a significant investment in trying to build up those football programs. UCLA currently is just not doing that. They're not. There is not that same level of commitment. So I'm trying to imply that it is backwards. It is backwards for UCLA to assume that they're going to go and get somebody else and bring them in and produce better results when inevitably they are not on the same standard as the other top teams in the Big Ten to provide the resources in order for them to get up to that top level. They're going to produce the same exact results.
They surely
no matter
had
who they go
commitment
to
to pay the NIL for Dante Moore.
But apparently that's total rumors, but there's possibilities that
he's in
that
commercials. He's posting stuff on Instagram.
There has been instances where Chip Kelly has tried to ask for more resources. I think one of the things he had tension with the university and the administration was that he wanted more money for a better training table, and they gave him a hard time about it. What I'm trying, my whole point is that to expect them to do more, it's not going to happen. And I get the firing though, in the sense that you're turning the page to a new conference and you want to hire a new head coach. And you don't want to do it before it's too late. You don't want to fire Chip Kelly 2 years into the Big Ten and things aren't looking good. And then you're trying to play catch up with USC and Washington and Oregon in a new conference. You want to come out firing out the gate with a good foundation.
Cody McGee says Chip Kelly's buyout was $9 million. Will UCLA buy out that contract? Well, yeah. I mean, if it's $9 million, absolutely they will. As well, it's hard to recruit, especially with every player wanting to go to USC. Not every player was wanting to go to USC. Chip Kelly has not beat USC in 6 years. That's another thing.
That's true.
That is an issue. And what if if he loses again, that's 7 years. So that he's never beaten USC. Thank you, Cody, for the super chat. Let me just say this too. He has not been officially fired yet.
Actually, wait, I think that I don't think that's true about UCLA not beating USC. Wait 1 second.
Yeah, he beat him under Clay Helton.
Maybe he hasn't beaten Lincoln Riley though, but that's all, that's.
Well, he ain't beating Lincoln Riley.
All right, I'm not going to look that up right now. It's going to take too long to look up. Somebody in the chat corrected us though.
Who corrected us? I'll put it up here.
2018.
So it'd be year one?
Yeah, 34-27 in 2018. So yeah, they did. They have beaten him.
I mean, I'm just going off the super chat. I don't know the record either. Nevertheless, look, if this were anybody else in the country, okay,
yes,
and you're 33 through 6 years, if they do pull the plug, I don't blame them. Like, I really don't.
I agree with that sentiment. And also, before we flip to the first game, it is setting a dangerous precedent that if you pay us, we will read whatever you put on you put in the comment.
I mean, hey, he came up with a stat. I didn't. He said it.
I know. I'm just joking. It's kind of like a funny concept that if people want us to read stupid shit.
I bet you this has something with somebody's mom.
Yeah.
Michael Morris with a 499 says, "Sorry, I'm late. Hate to take a Jimbo and wipe my Arnett."
I think he said meant to say had to take a Jimbo and wipe my Arnett.
Yeah.
I
feel bad
Michael.
for Zach Arnett, though. Let's see if UCLA actually does fire him, because this isn't,
it sounds like it's happening.
I've seen crazier shit.
Well,
listen to me.
Yeah.
I have been in a stadium where a man was going to get fired and was taken off the field, where players were holding him and took him to the locker room, and everybody knew he was going to be fired. And then the governor of the state called and said, "You're not firing him." Okay. And then the next season, yes. And then the next season, Les Miles got his ass kicked in game 1 by Wisconsin. By the way, it was the first football game that me and my now wife were together in, sitting in my mother's house. And I thought she was going to leave. She'd be like, "This dude's crazy as hell." And Wisconsin kicked our ass. I have seen crazier things happen. Jimbo Fisher, and thank God, thank you, Jesus Christ up above, that the governor of the state called and said, because then Ed Orgeron got the job. Then we got Joe Burrow. Nevertheless, I've literally with my eyes been on field level and seen crazier things happen.
No one's making that phone call. No one's making that phone call for Chip Kelly.
You don't think Governor Newsom would make that phone call?
Hell no. Hell no. My man doesn't even care about the homeless problem. That guy sucks.
Well, he's more worried about, what is it, the red Skittle problem or something?
I don't even. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, whatever.
All right. You ready to get to some games here? That's what we're really here about.
Yeah, let's do it.
North Carolina and Clemson this weekend. Howard's Rock. Joe, I know that you're going to hate me on this one, and it's okay because I hate myself a little bit for this pick that I'm going to make here later on tonight. Listen, I think that this could – I know that you've the last couple of weeks said that you thought that Cade Klubnik could make a push to start seeing signs that he is becoming a better quarterback. I think this is the game that he does it. I should have stayed with my offseason prediction about North Carolina. You want me to tell you why? I came out and said, look, I think that their pass defense is horrible. Well, then they beat South Carolina week 1. South Carolina looks so bad. And everybody's like, oh, man, their defense is really good. And I'm like, oh, damn, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was too harsh on Gene Chizik. Joe, they are 83rd in the country in pass defense. I think that this could be a game that we could see Cade Klubnik take a step forward. But the massive thing for me in this one, I think that I know this sounds stupid. That damn phone call from Tyler and whatever Berg, okay, has energized this damn team. Tyler needs half of Dabo's buyout money right now because this team is playing with some serious heat. Dude, they are one of the best defenses in the country, regardless of what you think of Dabo or not. They are the number 6 total defense in the country. They are stout on all 3 levels. This is going to be the best defense that Drake May has seen all year long. And I have seen a listen, Virginia as an example. Virginia is not a good team, but what does Virginia do? They give a shit. And listen, if you keep a team like Virginia around and somebody that can bully you, it could get bad for North Carolina. They have started to regress defensively. I don't love this pick, but man, I think Clemson at home, it's going to get loud and it's going to get loud in there. I'm going to go with the Tigers in this one. I think they're going to lean on their defense. Jeremiah Trotter, I think, is one of my favorite players in college football right now. And look, I saw what that team did up front against Notre Dame. They don't have those dudes that Notre Dame does up front. They don't. And if that team, who is energized, can push around a good Notre Dame front, I think they take care of business against North Carolina.
I completely disagree. I get that right now.
This is why people think we have tensions.
Right.
This is why people think we have tensions.
I mean, I'm not afraid to tell you. The show wouldn't be fun if I wasn't afraid to tell you. I think that you're completely wrong. Look, I understand that this team is motivated and that they're playing a lot better than what they did in the first half of the season. It took that phone call. It took the Notre Dame game. This Georgia Tech game was very impressive. I really thought that Georgia Tech was going to play Clemson close. But plain and simple, they had 2 opportunities against teams that they matched up well with, and they were motivated. I think in the modern age of college football, I really do believe, and it's very similar to the sentiments that I share often every single week about Washington. I really do believe that it is going to be very difficult for Clemson to keep up with the offensive passing prowess of this UNC team. And I think that this UNC team, despite their recent struggles, has become more balanced. Omarion Hampton has been a phenomenal addition, or not addition, but has provided a phenomenal impact for the rushing attack. He has been great for the second half stretch of the season since that, I forget which game, I think it was the Syracuse game where he had the first big game. I turn to the way that this game played out when Clemson played Miami. Backup quarterback in, and they were facing off against a team that had 2 really good receivers. They could not keep them out of the end zone, and it came down to overtime for them to lose. I think that North Carolina is far more offensively potent than Miami, and that they will put up 2 quick scores. Of
course they are. They're the top three total offense in the country. Of course they are.
Exactly. They're going to put up 2 quick scores, and Clemson cannot move the ball fast enough to keep up with them.
I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball on them like that.
You think Clemson has a good secondary. Yes.
Good secondary.
An elite secondary. There's a very good secondary.
They're a very good secondary. Joe, they're number 7 in the country in pass yards allowed.
But what quarterbacks have they been challenged by?
What defense has Drake May been challenged by?
Miami's. He played great against Miami.
They're not this. Joe, we saw Georgia Tech push Miami around. Like, I mean, don't you dare let transitive properties get a hold of you right now, because
I'm not doing the transitive property thing. I am trying to find similar style opponents, teams that have good receivers that have outplayed them. I will point out the Florida State game. That's a good quarterback, Jordan Travis, and that was at Clemson.
You know what's happened over the last couple of weeks with Clemson?
What?
Their red zone has gotten better, and they've been whipping the shit out of everybody. Joe, I told you that PFF did that metric that if they just would have scored half of their times that they would have been in the red zone, meaning Clemson, that at the time that they did it, they would have been 8-1, that they would have beaten Florida State. I think the only loss that they didn't get, the only loss they gave them was week 1 against Duke, because they had so many of them, right? Remember the Duke game earlier in the year. They converted last week. They converted against Notre Dame. And I think Clemson has seen far better defensive prowess, okay, than what North Carolina is going to be able to put on the field. It is called Notre Dame. And you know what? I think the key to this game is North Carolina is 83rd in the country in rushing yards allowed. You said that they can't keep up. That's fair. If Drake May's on, which I think he is, Joe, I do think that if there is a quarterback that isn't getting enough what's the word I'm looking for here? Recognition for like Heisman talk. Okay, it is Drake May. All right. Yeah. Like nobody is talking about him. And you know what? It seems like he's completely fine with it, that he doesn't care. Like, hey man, I want to win football games and play football. Joe, they can keep up with them. They can keep up with them because Maffa, Shipley, and Klubnik, listen to me, they're gonna run for 250.
I mean, that's nice. You know, if they have the ball enough to run for 250.
If they run for 250, North Carolina, it could get ugly. Because if you can run the football, again, how many times have I said this? If you can run the football and play good defense, what have we seen from every team around college football that can do that?
Not many. But look, I think that also this comes into play here. The fact that last week, the way that they played against Duke, I think that this North Carolina team has their back up against the wall. They need to get back on their feet.
Who was the quarterback for Duke?
No comment.
All right, hush. Because
how different though is
Joe?
Clemson's defense is better than Duke's. Yes, Clemson's defense is better than Duke's, but that is not that far off. And still, we saw a 340-yard passing performance from Drake May.
Hold on. Because I looked this up today and I remember it. I don't want to misquote myself, so let me look it up. Hold on. Okay. Football. Box score. Hold on. Because I was going to bring this up and I should have written it down. Joe, they scored 47 points, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an overtime game, though.
It was an overtime game. Now, let me make sure that I got this right. Yeah, because it was 47-42. Grayson Loftus. What is a Grayson Loftus? Do you know what a Grayson Loftus is? Because I have no idea.
He only threw for 189 yards. He's not the reason
you said that.
He's not the reason why that game was close.
They had 179 yards on the ground. The only reason that North Carolina was keeping things close is because Duke went 5 or 15 on third down. And you know that. Clemson will not do that. Joe, a third-string quarterback put up 45 in their house.
He's not really he should have been the backup. He should have been the one who started.
Stop telling me that Clemson can't move the ball and keep up when I just saw Duke.
They can't.
Do it.
They don't have the weapons to do it. They ran the ball. Duke ran the ball. They don't, but they ran the ball effectively.
Right now.
I can't name a Duke receiver.
Point. I saw a Clemson wide receiver core, #Bo Collins, stand up. I can make the argument. I can't believe I got to admit this to you because I've been shitting on him all year to take shots at you. Tell me Ben Morrison's not one of the best corners in the game right now. Tell me that.
He is.
Okay. I saw Bo Collins physically dominate him on 3 catches.
That wasn't the passing performance. It was all in the rushing game. That was all that was. That was why
Bo Collins made the catch of the week.
But they won that game because of Phil Maffa and because of turnovers. It wasn't because of anything that the receivers did. It had nothing to do with what the receivers
and you
did.
think Phil Maffa's not going to go off on Saturday after we saw what we saw from Duke?
I think it's an assumption that they will. I think it's an assumption. I think that North Carolina plays better in this game.
You better be careful. The Mafia's coming.
Okay. God.
See, here's what people don't understand. You and I can get like highly Joe, you know how when people say that we have tension on the show, how I know they've never been around Italians?
Right. So that's the way that I originally rationalized this to anyone who's commented on it. It's kind of like when you're in practice and you're hitting each other all practice long, and then eventually practice is over, you're in the locker room and you're just yucking it up. That's the better example though. 2 Italians, you'll be at dinner, you'll be screaming at each other, and then the next morning you're like nothing happened. And every time I go home and I'm around my family, we get into a fight.
5 minutes later.
Right.
We're just loud and opinionated. That's all that is.
Exactly.
Final thought, I think Maffa's going to go for 120 plus. I think Shipley and him are going to dominate this North Carolina team.
Their success is going to be contingent on what he does.
I can't disagree with that. I guess we got to stay in the ACC for this next one, though. You ready?
Yeah.
Miami and Louisville kick it off this weekend. Tyler Van Dyke. Did you see the Tyler Van Dyke statements today about basically, and I'm just putting it in a nutshell. He said that his identity is not going to be found in football, which I don't mind. Like, okay, I'm cool with that. But the only reason that you're saying that you don't want your identity to be found in football is because of how bad you sucked the last 2 years.
Right.
Okay.
That's
so don't come at me and tell me that now when people were talking about you in the offseason and you going to Alabama and transferring and them looking for a quarterback. And
now suddenly I don't find my identity in football. You're full of it. Joe, I had Louisville in my top 10 this week. Louisville was actually, weren't they number 9 in the college football playoff rankings? I think
they were number
9 or 10. 9 or 10.
Yeah, they were either 9 or 10. I think, like I said on Monday, I just like the way Louisville plays. There's not anything that I can just come out here and tell you that like, hey, man, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. And that's why I think they're going to beat Miami. But I think that they're playing better. They're just a better overall team. They're a better coach team than Miami. They don't have more talent than Miami does. They don't. They, like, from top to bottom, dude for dude, athlete for athlete, they don't. But a team at home that gives a shit, that Joe, a team that nobody's talking about. What happens if Louisville in the ACC championship game could upset Florida State? Now,
I don't think that's their ceiling. They're not going to be able to beat Florida State.
Can you just hear me out?
Yes.
They are playing for more than Miami ever could. This game's going to mean more to them. And I think that is the reason why they're going to go out there and do it. Before you say Louisville can't do it, I'm just going to tell you this. It is a concern for me for Florida State. They can't run the football. And I got to tell you, when I look at Louisville, Joe, they are the number 9 team in the country in rush defense. They suffocate teams defensively. You remember the game against Notre Dame, okay?
Wait.
Just hold on. Wait. Stylistically, they are going to send pressure at you all night long. And they have corners that they go man-to-man coverage on. They don't care if you make a big play. They're going to play like their hair is on fire, and they're going to come knock you out on defense. I love watching Louisville play.
My original gut thought was to go with Miami just because of the talent, just because of the fact that we know that these rosters are talented and that Miami's trying to get back on their feet, regain their footing. But plain and simple, I mean, you just talked about the key thing there. The defensive mentality, just plainly off of defense, the defensive mentality for Louisville sets them up very favorably for what Miami has struggled with. Tyler Van Dyke, I'm not going to do my whole spiel on him, but he turns the ball over a lot. And he is a quarterback who, when pressured and placed into difficult situations, absolutely will make mistakes. Even with clean pockets, he makes mistakes. I watched Sam Hartman struggle tremendously because they said, you know what? We're going to come after you. We're going to load the box. You're not going to be able to run the football. If you want to beat us, throw the ball. I think that Ashton Gelati is one of the most under-talked about defensive linemen in the country. I also think that Quincy Riley on the outside is a strong corner. The way that they are built is enough to completely remove their rushing attack and to get 4 or 5 or so sacks and maybe get a turnover, get a pick. That's what they need to win this football game. And then the other part to this too, I look at the other side. Offensively, they don't have anybody that's in that like elite category at receiver or running back. But they got a lot of really dangerous, fast football players that play in an offense that knows how to position those guys to succeed. And one of the biggest qualms that we've had with Miami recently is their corners aren't very good. Their corners haven't played well at all recently. Jamari Thrash, Jawar Jordan, who's their very talented running back, they're going to pop off. They're going to have huge performances. I really do think that Louisville is going to win this game by like 7+. I think it's very possible.
I think they can win by more than that. You know why? Because if Van Dyke is your dude and Van Dyke plays, Joe, the way that they just send pressure after him all night, I think he's going to see ghosts. Like, I think this is a horrible, horrible game for them. Yeah. If guys like A.J. Allen and those dudes don't go off, it's going to be a long day. They will send more pressure than you can block. They're always going to send an extra dude. It's how Braun plays. It's how he's always played. Look at what they did at Purdue. It's the same philosophy, the same exact philosophy. They are going to send more dudes than you can handle up front. And I don't trust Tyler Van Dyke. Joe, you know what's so nuts? If you look at Miami just on paper, okay, like if you just look at them from stat for stat, athlete for athlete, Joe, you'd think they're a top 15 team. You would legitimately think that they're a top 15 team. You know why? Because they're not bad defensively. They're top 20 on defense. They're able to get off the field on third down.
The problem is against nobody, though. They haven't Joe, really
and again,
been
but
tested.
But Joe, I am so tired of that argument because Louisville hadn't played a fucking soul. I'm sorry, and I love you, but Notre Dame is their biggest win. They're playing the same exact teams that Miami's playing.
But they're barely beating NC State and Virginia, which is the middle to the back end of the conference. That's where my concern comes into play. Your team that you just
talked about in North Carolina lost to Virginia. Louisville didn't lose to Virginia. Louisville lost to Pitt.
No, but they barely beat them is what I said. They barely beat Virginia last week.
You know what? I'm going to turn your words against you. And Washington almost beat Stanford. Almost lost to Stanford. Good teams find ways to win, is what you say.
But I can point out and I can bring up that Washington has a
want to strike it from the record.
Washington has a win over Oregon, and Washington has a win against Utah. They have USC. All of the games that Washington, all the opponents that Washington has faced, most of them, 80% of them are more difficult opponents than what Louisville has placed. That's why I hold reserve in buying into this.
If I told you that you had a top 20 defense and a top 30 scoring defense, a team that's in the 40s in scoring offense, they're one of the top teams in the country and getting off the field on third down, and they're rushing offense and defense. Joe, their rushing defense, they are top 5 in rush defense. Top 5. If I would just tell you that on paper, what I was trying to say is if I would tell you that on paper, you would say, okay, well, maybe they're not better than some of the other teams in other conferences. That's not my argument. You would say they're good. But what I was trying to get at before you rudely interrupted my ass, they turn the ball over. They have horrible quarterback play, and I got to be real with you. I don't trust Cristobal.
No. I agree with that.
That's why Louisville's going to win. God, talking about tension, we got tension tonight, buddy. All right.
Since last
So we
game.
got to move quickly. Let's just go quickly on this Arizona-Utah game, like 5 minutes at max.
Okay. Good luck.
Go.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that you were setting me up.
Go.
Look, I was trying to figure out a way that Utah wins this game. And you know what? I looked it up. I wanted to confirm where this game was being played.
It's in Arizona.
It's at Arizona. If this was in Utah, this would be a completely different animal. For whatever reason, Utah does not travel well. They don't particularly travel well. They don't get road wins. They just have always, in Kyle Whittingham's time as the head coach, have just not gotten road wins. Outside of that, I think that if we paint the picture here, albeit that Utah's defense is elite and that it's really good, I see that matchup between Jonah Ellis and Jordan Morgan is going to be really important along the offensive and defensive line. But I am a fan of what Noah Fafita has done for this offense. He has done a great job, a young quarterback who has looked strong. They've also got their own McMillan in the receiving core, a former 5-star kid.
Leads the team in touchdowns with 8.
Yeah, they are a really balanced team. And I think that when you look at a defense like Utah that's had a little cracks over the past few weeks, a balanced team is going to probably have an easier time moving the football and scoring some points.
I agree with Dorian Singer. That's what I wrote down. I put a big asterisk next to him. Jacob Cowing, 85 catches, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Utah has 3 weapons that they have to guard. The last time they did that was literally last week, and it bit them in the ass. I just don't like I'm going to say it every week. I don't like Utah offensively. I think that they lose. Jeff Fish and his boys continue to roll. Arizona's probably my second favorite team in college football right now, even though I'm biased on that coaching staff because I know like 2/3 of them. Regardless, I like where they sit. I like Arizona in this game.
Yeah, we also just have to pay attention to like who's hot right now. You know, we're at this point in the season where momentum is important, and I continually see that Arizona finds ways to win football games. Here's the biggest reason why. Like, forget matchups and all this stuff. This is one of those instances, and they're one of those teams where I feel like the whole year we've picked against them. It's been so easy just to go, oh yeah, Oregon State's going to beat them. Yeah, no problem. They're going to beat them.
Oregon State did beat them.
Wait a minute.
Oregon State beat Utah.
No. I'm talking about Arizona.
Oh, I've not picked against Arizona.
Well, what I'm trying to get at here is just generally it has felt like that Arizona has been easy just to say since the beginning of the year when they struggled at the very beginning of the year, like, oh, how good are they actually? They're not going to win this tough game that they have coming up. And we clowned on USC for the way that they played against them without realizing that Arizona is actually a pretty good football team.
If they win this, they get to 8 wins.
Yeah.
Impressive.
They've defied the odds. That's why I have to pick them.
You know what's crazy?
Keep defying the odds.
You know what's crazy? They lost to Mississippi State on the road.
I can't believe that. Not an SEC thing. Don't you dare say that. That's like an SEC thing. I would have told you
that one of these coaches would be fired at the end of that game. You would not have said Zach Arnett.
Oh, I would have said Jed Fish. Look, plain and simple, they had a lot that they were quarterback injuries that they were dealing with, and the crazy part and what's led to the success is that Jane DeLora was mediocre. Noah Fafita is amazing, and he's a young player, and he's doing great stuff. Sometimes that's all it takes is a guy gets hurt, and he realizes you got to ride the young player that's kicking ass. That's what you got to do sometimes.
We'll do. All right. Want to get to our picks?
Yeah, let's do it.
Talk about our friends over at Home Field Apparel. We give you the money next. There's a new leader in the clubhouse. It's the red-headed Italian.
I'm not Ruffino and Joe Show is brought to you by Home Field Apparel, which is the best, without a doubt, premium collegiate apparel brand that is out there. They have over 150 different colleges that you can choose from, whether you're an Illinois fan or a Rutgers fan, maybe you're an LSU fan like Blake, or maybe you're an Alabama fan. Whatever it is, even Idaho, they have so many different designs for so many different football programs that I can guarantee you're going to find some great stuff to help root for your favorite team. I've already gotten my Notre Dame stuff. Blake has his LSU stuff. Make sure you head on over to homefieldapparel.com to check out your team's collection of clothing apparel that they have on the website. And when you do so, when you check out, make sure you use promo code Ruffino Joe to get 15% off your order. That is RUFFINO, Ruffino Joe. Head on over to homefieldapparel.com and get your college gear today. It looks like Jaden Daniels is about to accept the Senior Bowl invite.
Clip that out. It's not true.
There's a picture of him with a hat on. Jim Nagy just posted a picture.
Sources. No decision has been made on whether Jaden Daniels will play in the East or West Shrine game or the Senior Bowl, or if he will even attend the event.
Oh, because this is what I was going off of the picture that him wearing the hat.
Sources. No decision has been made on whether Jaden Daniels will play in the East-West Shrine game.
You think Jim's just trolling? You think Jim's just
He's trolling.
Okay. He's gonna go to the Senior Bowl. He's gonna go to the Senior Bowl. I'm not saying that because I have any sourcing. I know that what you're going off of. I know what you're going off of.
No decision has been made on whether Jaden Daniels will play in the East-West Shrine game or if he will go to the Senior Bowl or even attend the Senior Bowl.
If I had a hunch without any sourcing, he is the perfect quarterback to play in the Senior Bowl.
He's not going to play. He's not going to play.
You don't think so? Wow.
I think he will attend the event to be around GMs and coaches. I do not think he'll play in it.
That sucks because he last year I said that I thought he would be the perfect Senior Bowl quarterback, but
do you notice how earlier during the show I had my head down texting?
It's because you were checking on that.
Next time, just ask me.
No, I like causing problems. I think that's way more fun.
You do like causing problems. All right. But listen, Jaden is such a great human being. I think he will go there to talk to coaches. He's a great dude, man. Great dude. All right. So, Joe, our picks are brought. I don't know which one. I guess it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay.
Yeah.
These are our picks every week, sponsored by our good friends over at Home Field Apparel. Use that promo code Ruffino Joe to get 15% off your order. Joe, you take the lead after 9 straight weeks of you not.
Damn right.
You have a 1-game lead on me. Let's go to the left. We talked about all these games. We're both going Georgia. I'm going Oregon State and Washington. Your final thoughts on that?
I stand by my thoughts. I do not think that Oregon State is equipped to play catch up and to play their style of football that Washington can score as quickly as they can. Give me Washington to get the win in Corvallis.
Interesting enough, that Washington-Oregon State line, the weather is going to be atrocious. Okay, if you're watching the weather report, that goes bad against Washington because they're on the road. If it was any team in the country, if weather's a massive factor, you want to be at home. Look.
They play in Seattle. It rains every other day in Seattle.
Joe, you've never played in the line of scrimmage. You've never been a center. I promise you it is a massive deal.
I was a long snapper. I had to snap the ball. I played in a monsoon. I played in a monsoon in college.
Yeah, but you got to snap a dry ball.
No, I didn't.
But you got to wipe your hands off on the sidelines before you go in. We didn't.
It's raining. There's nothing to wipe off. Don't debate me on snapping here. Don't you dare. I will go shot for shot with you.
Spinners. That's all that you are.
Yeah, we're not as cool.
Okay. Oregon State is a favorite in this game. Just throwing that out there.
It's crazy.
No, it's not crazy because you don't listen. Arizona and Utah, both of us taking Arizona. We just talked about Clemson, UNC. Joe's going UNC. I'm going Clemson in that one. Yep. We gave you the reasons why. Both going Louisville. Joe, Kansas State and Kansas, both of us going with the Wildcats.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Bean is out based on my assumption. God, that offense was terrible with that third stringer. I don't even know the kid's name. They just could not move the ball. I think that a more settled roster in Kansas State wins them the football game.
I agree. The only thing I'm going to add to that, I want Kansas to win because I like Lance Leipold. All right. And I think the turmoil that will happen in Aggieland if he wins will be outright just absolutely crazy.
They need it.
I want Kansas to win, but I don't think that they will. USC UCLA, surprised that you picked your favorite team in the USC Trojans.
I almost pick UCLA, but I think that what you brought up earlier is very important in this, that the roster, not the roster, the locker room turmoil that's probably going on this week. Whenever you think a coach getting fired, everyone's distracted.
USC actually was better defensively, statistically, without Alex Grinch. Pay attention to that. Just throwing that out there. Texas and Iowa State. Joe, I'm going to allow you to do this if you want to as well. We're both picking Texas, but I'm picking Iowa State to cover.
I like that pick.
Mm-hmm.
I like picking them to cover.
I'm just telling you. Look, if you play Joe, this will be the fourth straight game, whatever it is, that they could potentially play a game that it's a one-score game, like a really close one-score game. Joe, the likelihood of you winning all those games are not that high. If they continue to do that, they're going to get beat. I'm just telling you, you can't keep playing down to your competition if you're going to win.
No,
you're going to slip up and get beat by somebody.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
The only reason you were so excited that Jaden Daniels is going to be at the Senior Bowl is because you go every year.
Yeah. Well, not every year. I've only gone 2 years. I just get excited over draft stuff. I like knowing that, when guys declare, I go watch their film. And
you want some more sourcing?
Go for it.
I think the Raiders sound like a very good option for Jaden Daniels.
I could see that.
I'll leave it there.
Is Brian Kelly going to be coaching the Las Vegas Raiders?
If he does, which I don't want Brian Kelly to leave, they will owe LSU $92 million. Please, God, please have $200 million in coaching buyouts.
They don't have that kind of bread.
They do not have that kind of bread. Okay, no. I promise you. And Brian, BK said that if he would have done that, he would have flipped when he was at Notre Dame. Now, it doesn't mean that he can't. He could.
Yeah.
It's not his style, dude. He wants to tell people what to do and tell them to shut the fuck up when they need to.
Right.
All right. We'll see you guys again Sunday. Y'all have a good one. Peace.